What's up, everybody? Another week of passing under the yellow. I'm Matt Kemp alongside my co-host and Arkham Menard series driver, Morgan Baird. Morgan, how you doing?
Dirt modified. Good. Happy to be here.
Well, happy you're here. Today we're going to talk some truck racing. We got a lot to recap and unpack from that. Xfinity racing, and some cup racing, along with some big news. We've been starting to wait till Wednesday to put this pod out because it seems like all the news comes out on Wednesday, and it definitely has this week too. So super interesting stuff with all the Hendrick penalties and call leg appeals, and so we'll get into that, and then we'll give our picks for Bristol Dirt. We'll go over our picks from Richmond and give a preview of next week. So let's get it rolling.
All right, so we'll dive into the truck series real quick. If you didn't watch it, Nick Sanchez, I believe, led 168 laps, which that was the actual scheduled distance of the race. I think he led every lap besides 3 or 4 of them. He had the best truck all day. A lot happened in that race. I felt like Zane Smith watching that race. Probably had the best truck outside as clean air matters big time, but felt like Zane there on those last couple of restarts really had something for him, and what ultimately decided the race was Zane racing side by side. I guess we can kind of both give our takes on that finish there before we jump into really anything else with the truck series. But finish first. It looked like Sanchez was just trying to side draft aggressively and just lost it, and Hosevard wasn't going to lift and helped him around there. I get it. I wouldn't have lifted either, but it didn't. I don't think I originally thought Hosevard was a big D bag and just drove right through him. But it looked like Sanchez just lost it. What do you think?
Made a pretty good move. Yeah, Sanchez made a pretty good move down to the grass, other than the fact that he got the grass, and I think that really upset him. I think if he doesn't hit the grass there, he probably doesn't get so upset and get turned. But other than that, I mean, he ran a really great race, and
Yep.
he's definitely going to win something this year. I'd say. Hocevar, congrats to him. He's been due for something. So good on him for getting it done finally. But definitely not the circumstances. I don't think anybody expected for him to. Maybe somebody expected it.
I expected that. It doesn't surprise me. I'm not surprised about anything.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, pretty wild finish there. I mean, they tore up a lot of shit. I mean, there were some trucks that were 3-4 laps down, ended up coming back, getting top 10 finishes. It was really just a massive survival race there. I think we're going to talk about what guys were you going to bring up that were in the top 10 that got good finishes that you want to touch on?
For sure. Guys and gals that got some pretty good finishes there. I know Haley Deegan ended up with tying her career best in 6, so that was good for her. Kind of just we're getting to that point with her. It's like, all right, now that should be the expectation every week to be finishing.
It was at the end of last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
no, I agree. But I mean, we're at the point now. It's like, all right, it's got to start happening now for her.
She's in good shape.
Does,
and she's got Ford backing. There's really no excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Zane Smith. I think her and Zane Smith, in my opinion, probably about similar trucks. If I had to really guess about it, 2 different teams. Are they different teams or no? Yeah, they're different teams. Yeah. Sport. But I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure Zane's also, in my opinion, just a hell of a lot better driver. But yeah, I know she finished up 6th there. Anyone else? Who else you got there?
Vargas, I don't know if he said it was his career best, but he ended up in the top 10 and 8th in that 30 truck. So that was a great run for him.
Yes, first truck start too.
Jake Garcia, I thought
was
really
had a
impressive.
good run.
Yeah,
he ended up 30 truck, wasn't he, or 36 or something? I don't know.
The 35. Yeah, he ended up in the top 5 there. That was huge for him. I felt
That's
like
wild. Yeah,
that's awesome for him. Yeah, exactly. Super awesome for him.
So much. I mean, scorecard doesn't show the route you get there, kind of type deal.
100%.
You always want, in my opinion, if I'm a racer, I want to go out racing the heart, race my ass off, know that I've got a really good car under me and I earned it. But hey, attrition finishes are part of the game too. I mean,
100%.
Especially in racing, there's no pictures on the scorecard. Other than that, I mean, that Dean Thompson wreck, he was running outstanding.
He was. He had a really great race going.
Before that all happened, I think Michael Waltrip jinxed him a little bit because he's like, man, this is just unreal. He's never running in the top five and this and that. And from my vantage point, I mean, we myself and a couple other people, we looked at several versions of the replay there, and it looked like, from the time he started wrecking until the last two trucks came in there, it was about 6 to 8 seconds. I mean, I don't know what's really going on there. It was the last two trucks in the field, so I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, it was actually like 4 different trucks. I mean, that came piling in there. It was like the fourth from last truck that hit him, I think, and then 2 more guys came sliding in afterwards, and it's just like, man, it just seems like there was
yeah.
a
There's a
lot of
view
time there,
looking
but
straight down the
I get it.
front stretch of you. You can see the 5 out of shape off 4, and he's wrecking and he's wrecking, he's wrecking. You see these guys, and at this point, they got to be in the middle of entering 3, I'd have to say, don't you think? I mean, for how far back? They were 8 seconds. You got to count 8 seconds when you're going that fast is a long distance if you really
Right.
think about it. Even 5 seconds is long. So 8 seconds. I mean, you gotta assume they're entering in 3 at the late, earliest late. I don't know. But where do it's the spotter is, I don't know. There's
It
a
looked like
count
visibility was
accountability on
tough
all.
too.
Yeah, accountability across all levels is where I'd have to put that. I mean,
It's a tough
you could
deal.
point here, you could point here, you could say this, you could say that, but yeah, it's just part of the deal there. I guess it's you live and you learn. I guess is what I could end with there. So, other than that, I guess we can jump into the Xfinity series. Unless you have anything else to add on to the Truck series.
I don't think so. Let's talk about Brandon Jones again for the every show this year.
Woo! All right, Xfinity series. Here we go. All right. Why don't you lead us off here, Matt?
Oh
You're
boy.
steering it. We've given you the horsepower. You steer this show.
Sure, yeah. We'll talk about the Xfinity series.
Let's go.
I thought personally I liked the race a lot. A lot of strategy was playing out. Definitely kind of thought John Hunter Nemechek. I really thought he had the car to beat, truthfully, but uh,
Their
Chandler,
strategy, man. Their
yeah, I mean
strategy. They couldn't
Chandler
have let
Smith
him
ended
in.
up doing a
Yeah.
great job coming through and ended up beating him. And
Yeah, I
uh,
know. I know that Sammy Smith and John Hunter were on the same strategy way early in the race, and what screwed Sammy Smith is he went a lap down, and then another car got lapped before the stage was over. So then he was trapped a lap down because he wasn't the first car lap down. And I think it just took him a while to recover. So other than that, I mean, there's a couple cautions throughout the race. I mean, I touched on it leading into this pod, I was talking about how we needed to touch on. There's, I think, 7 different drivers led at least 24 laps. That's pretty damn impressive if you really think about it. That is parity right there. I think Xfinity cars race good everywhere. They're the best races in NASCAR, in my opinion. But that's impressive. When's the last time a Cup race had that? That wasn't a super speedway, maybe. When I that's a stat right there. So I thought the race it was good. I like the tire management, strategy and stuff. So overall, good race. Um, Other wrecks in there. I know that Brandon Jones and Riley Herbst kind of got, his streak kind of finally came to an end there, top tens, whatever it was. But I think he'll be all right. Cole Custer had a good day finally.
finally, yeah,
Um, for the millionth week in a row, Brandon Jones has crashed. I just cannot imagine when the people that are assigned to work on his car at Junior Motorsports walk in there on Mondays, say, Jesus Christ, what are we fixing this week? Every single week this season, he's crashed or hit something or done something. Some not his fault, most of it, some of it is I don't know.
I don't know if you saw on this week on Twitter, he posted a picture of his passenger window getting blown out. He was
Yeah,
running down the highway next to a tractor trailer and heard a loud bang, and apparently something came through the window or something, and it's just like a
yeah,
freak
I
deal.
saw
So
that on Twitter. Yeah, it's pretty
it seems
wild.
like just kind of his year is just not going the way he thought it would. I honestly I kind of feel bad for the guy at this point, but hopefully
Yeah, I'm just
I think
like, I
he'll end
can't
up
wait
winning.
till we have a podcast where I'm like, holy shit, Brandon Jones didn't hit one friggin' thing and got a top 10 today. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know how
mean
many
at
weeks
least
we're
I think
we
he'll
are
end up
away from
breaking
that.
through. Yeah,
I think
I
he'll
think he'll
probably
break
win a
through.
couple races, honestly. I mean, he runs good until he doesn't. Until he crashes.
Just congrats to Chandler Smith
Chandler,
getting
yeah,
that
it's
dub.
dope. Yep, yep.
He
I
said
think
he
he'll win
probably
a
had the
couple
best day.
races. I think he'll win a couple races this year.
I think so too. He said he probably didn't even have the best car, probably had the third best car, and I think I agree with him. I think
Yeah,
the
I
Gibbs
think
cars
John
ended up being
Hunter
better.
was better. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
Custer was good too. So,
a
all
lot to
right.
look forward to for him.
Congrats, Chandler. All right. Let's go to the Cup Series. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack from the Cup race.
Unpack it, baby. Let's go.
I mean, shoot, where do we even start? We can
Hey.
guess we can kind of start with let's see, they ended up wrecking early on and having some cautions, which usually doesn't happen at Richmond, at least in past races. And one of those accidents was Denny Hamlin getting into JJ Yealy, which I don't know. I think we have separate opinions on that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Go ahead and state your case.
I personally, I don't care what Denny says. I think he just junked him. It looked to me like
All
he
right.
just
All right.
drove in there and
It does.
turned
I
him.
can't even argue that. It's absolutely what it looks like. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I watched, I mean, they had a great view of it live. It was great. It's one of those
Oh
things
yeah.
where if you're
It's
watching live, it's what
it's
you
not
hope
even
to happen.
yeah, it is.
Because you're like,
If
you're watching on
you're
board and
anyone
it's just,
besides JJ Yaley, you want that to happen. Yeah.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't
Yeah.
want to see anybody just get junked, but like
I
when
do
you're watching
sometimes.
some, when you're watching the race live, you want something to happen exactly on frame. It's like the
Yeah.
craziest things happen. It's like last year at Texas when I think they were on Truex and he blew a tire out of the lead and they were on him with the camera. It's like, whoa, what the heck just happened?
Yeah. No,
They
you're
were
like,
on. They were
oh
literally
shit.
in
Yeah.
car. Yeah, exactly. They were in car with Denny as he drove into the next
Yeah,
corner.
he fucking hammered him. Yeah.
I mean, you
Okay.
saw JJ kind of come up and kind of pinch him a little bit,
I
and
didn't think he did anything to get dumped. That was for damn sure.
I honestly I agree
Fucking
for that
drove
early in the
through
race.
that son of a bitch. Drove through him. Wasn't even there.
So I don't know. Did you feel like he wrecked him on purpose?
Uh, it really looked like it. I thought it was a douchebag move, but then I listened to Denny's podcast. He gave a very thorough explanation, even offered to help the team out if there was any way he could help the team out. He was going to do that because he felt really bad. He said he was going to pull down and meant to show him his left front, and he just overdrove the corner, drove straight in back of him. Should have known better. He had nothing to gain, he said. I believed everything he said. He said, said sorry several times and said he's going to reach out to him and offer to help any way he can. So I don't know, especially this day and age, most guys probably aren't going to go that far, I feel like. So I don't know. I at least see both sides because JJ Yaley handled it like a champ too because his crew chief came back on and said, hey, just fix it up and go get him. And JJ Yaley said, let's just make sure the car's fixed before we worry about wrecking anybody. That's just, I feel like from Denny, that's what I'm most thankful for because JJ could have destroyed him at any point pretty much and didn't. Other than that, I felt like, 24 and the 5 are obviously class of the field. Denny and Truex, I felt like that's what they were for the Toyotas. They're pretty good. I felt like Ty Gibbs ended up getting his third straight top 10. And they've been all ninth place finishes, I believe, too.
He's picking it up.
Yep. The strategy was definitely fun to watch. I thought it was a really entertaining race. You had guys all the way up against the wall and all the way low. Harvick said that he didn't think the package was much different. It looked better to me, as a fan watching. I thought it was much better. So I don't know. Outside of that, I mean, I thought it was a good long green run race. One of the more competitive races I've seen at Richmond in a minute. That's for sure. I usually keep my standards pretty damn low when we go to Richmond. This usually sucks, but late in that race, obviously got touched on. Bell turning William Byron and then getting out of his car and blaming Ross Chastain. I think Ross handles it pretty well. He's probably just annoyed like that he's just labeled the stigma against him because he's kind of brought upon himself, but he didn't do anything wrong there. And then it's funny, Christopher Bell says, after watching the replay, I misjudged and it wasn't the one's fault. Sorry, William Byron doesn't say shit to Chastain. Hey, sorry for throwing you under the bus, But I don't know. Any comments on that at all? Or
Yeah, thank you, Christopher Bell. You've created some really great memes out of it this week.
God, the memes are ruthless, hilarious. Like We were sharing a couple of them last night. They're like,
Some of them are pretty bad, but like
they're fucking hilarious. Everybody, they are hilarious.
yeah.
Hey,
I'm sure you can find them on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, message me. What I was gonna say, and this is funny because I think I've vented this before. At least I don't know about our podcast, but other podcasts, Dirty Mo Media podcasts in particular. I'm not calling them out, but I'm just saying the truth here. So I would always preach about how they would always bleep out curse words when they're like the only podcast in the world that does that, you know? The other day on the Denny podcast, they let one fuck slip through, and then they bleeped out everything else after that. I don't know if they just missed it, because I think there's a couple ass and, bad words, trigger words, I don't know, in there. But they let like 3 or 4 of them go, and then after that, they didn't censor out the word ass, but they censored out the word hole. Isn't that weird? Kind of? I don't know. Make no sense. If you let one go, you might as well let them all go. Damn it. Fucking Mike Davis. Jesus Christ. Man up. If you want to get on the level of passing under the yellow, you'll unedit your stuff like we do, right, Matt?
Yeah, until we finally get taken off of YouTube.
Oh, we will. We're not that popular. But anyways, yeah, so I just want to touch on that as well. But at the end of the day, Kyle Larson gets a dub.
Let's go.
Probably deserved it since he wasn't making mistakes like Denny Hamlin, get penalties and shit, getting dumped like his teammate. Your buddy not William Byron, Bowman, point leader. Again, obviously,
yeah, we'll talk more penalty about that, but
he's sneaky there. Dude,
they're having a great year.
Got outran by Josh Muir.
Well, so did 90% of the field.
Well, it's
really,
just.
But
yeah, I know. I'm just giving you shit. But anyways,
no, I know.
It's cool for Larson to get that win. I wanted him to win it. I thought that was badass. So, good job, Kyle Larson. Cool burnout he did at the end there. If you didn't see it, I recommend looking it up. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, Ross ended up with another top 3. I know he got blamed for that last wreck deal there, so everyone's kind of just talking about him for that. But I mean, he's been stupid consistent too. And truthfully, I mean, maybe when we get into the points penalties here in a little bit, he probably should be the points leader right now. So.
Oh yeah, and his amigo is also really fast too, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean Daniel, he's been all right points wise. Last I looked, he was right on the bubble.
Yeah, but I mean he's always up there in the races. He just shits it away at the end usually. But I think that's it from Bristol, wouldn't you say? Or Bristol shit. Richmond?
Close enough. We're going to Bristol, so yeah. I'd say
all right, we'll lead right into Bristol. Actually, we're going to touch on the penalties.
I have one thing too.
Oh,
one more thing from Richmond, and that is Truex.
What is it? Yeah, you know what? I picked him to win that race. I'm in this huge money league, and you only get to pick each driver twice throughout the whole year. So
he still didn't end up terrible. I mean, if
but he just got. I picked McDowell the previous week, and he wrecked Dakota and came back to get 12th. And then this week,
did you end up seeing the replay like
from
that McDowell posted?
Oh, that was friggin'
awesome.
Yeah,
he did awesome.
That shit. Yeah, that was sweet. He was in the right place. He made all the right moves. But yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, Truex. Yeah, him and James Smalls are going back at each other there on their radios. It's pretty interesting, but
it blew my mind.
I couldn't believe that. I can't believe they didn't tell him. How do you not tell him?
No,
you gotta tell him. You gotta tell him what he's working with.
Yeah, we were screwed anyway. So I don't know why we should have told you. Like, I don't know, maybe so I don't think I'm just the worst driver ever. Like,
I would need to know that. Like,
yeah, literally. I mean, Truex probably was thinking, man, this thing was terrible.
Is it broken?
Yeah,
I would literally be asking myself, is the fucking car broke? I'm getting walked by. So yeah, that sucks for Truex. But yeah, he finished 12th, I think.
They gotta figure something out there. That kind of communication is not.
Well, they're not gonna make a crew chief change this late in the going. He's committed to.
I think James has been.
I think he does a pretty good job, but
seems like I don't know.
So I guess we can jump on to kind of the news of the day, the news of the last week. The penalties between Hendrick Motorsports and also Colleague Racing. So we found out late last week, wasn't it, that the Hendrick penalty was overturned, which was originally a $100,000 per car, so it's a $400,000 penalty. 100 points per car minus Chase Elliott, since he hasn't been racing, so he is assessed the penalty. But 100 points per car, and then what else? Is that it, right?
10 playoff points per car.
And their crew chief suspended.
4 races. Yep.
We learned apparently that somehow those penalties were rescinded, and all they had was the $100,000 per car, so $400,000 fine. They get their points back. They get everything back. No one agrees with that. All of NASCAR, everybody, very confused, very upset. Even NASCAR wasn't happy with this decision because now the implications of what this can do to the rule book is just wide open, and it's going to really fuck some stuff up, in my opinion. I think the appeals, I wasn't there. I don't know what Hendrick could have said to get that big of a penalty rescinded. They don't give a shit about the money, dude. Why even keep, if they broke the rules and you assess the penalty, I don't know. There's just so much. I think it's really going to affect the integrity of the sport a little bit because guys now aren't going to know. It's either going to really open up the rule book or screw it, because now we can kind of lead into what happened today. We just find out today that Colleague Racing, who had the exact same penalty as Hendrick, their penalty was upheld. The only thing that changed was they got their points penalty reduced from 100 points to 75. Everything else stayed the same. And they
still lost their 10 playoff points, which doesn't necessarily matter.
Well, yeah, they're screwed anyways, I feel like.
Yeah.
But they had the exact same penalty. If you listen to DBC, love that podcast. If they're talking about if Colleague loses this appeal somehow and saying, doesn't get the same outcome as what Hendrick does, it's going to be an outrage. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know if it's the same appeals committee that dealt with Hendrick's situation. From what I understand, it rotates maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Chris Rice was on NASCAR Race Hub this evening. He seems pretty pissed. I don't blame him. He said they're going to appeal this to the bitter end, from what I understood. So I definitely don't agree with it. I think Hendrick penalty should have stayed, because it was the same penalty that NASCAR essentially gave Roush beginning of last year, Daytona or whatever. They did the exact same thing. They modified a part to make it fit for the safety of the car and to make it so it could be competitive. And from what I understand, it's pretty much what Hendrick did, except Hendrick submitted some sort of paperwork possibly that said these parts aren't fitting correctly. We have to do this to make it fit, and here's the paperwork. That's what I understand is different, is that there's somehow the documentation makes all the difference in the world. I don't know. I get it. I don't get it. But Michael McDowell was hit with that penalty last year as well, and it screwed his whole season. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the Hendrick penalty should have stayed. And then the overall consensus, from what I gather, is people are pretty much going to be losing their minds because this Colleague penalty was, it stayed. So that's pretty much what I've got to say about it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the only thing I could say or the point that I could have made for the Hendrick penalties was that they didn't race with him. But
neither did Colleague. I don't think
Colleague didn't race with it either.
I think they found it all at the same time during and what also, Denny Hamlin made this point on his podcast too, is it used to be, even I guess when his car got DQ'd last year at Pocono, they set out a piece of his car, what they did, so everyone could see it. And they always used to do that behind the NASCAR hall. If they found anything illegal on the car, they'd come up and set it out behind the hall, or everybody could come look at it and see. But they're not doing that now. They're not letting anybody know what's going on. So they didn't do that in this Hendrick situation. It's just kind of all a weird deal. It's really kind of screwed up if you think about it. They didn't put out anything of what Hendrick, I don't think anything of Colleague either, but still, why wouldn't you put that out there so these teams know to avoid that? So then they're not in that situation, So,
right.
They still got hit with that $100,000. I know Chris Rice wasn't happy with that either. So, they're still a growing team. They're only in their second year as well. So they're trying to scrap and claw for everything they can. They still got two good drivers. I think, honestly, Justin Haley's a dark horse this weekend for Bristol Dirt. He runs a lot of dirt his off time, so what better way to kind of get back in NASCAR and win this weekend, I feel like. So I don't know. I definitely don't agree with the penalty. It's screwed up. Hendrick should have kept their penalty. And if that was the case, obviously, Kaulig would be in the same situation right now. So they would kind of know it's coming. But I don't know. There's information I probably don't know and sounds stupid saying to some people. But this is my best gathering of the information as I know it. So
I definitely think if NASCAR wants to maintain their integrity here, they really got to be a little more transparent with everything that kind of came through. I feel like personally that they really should like share and make it more public. But I mean, who knows? I don't know what really can be for their sake, what really can be public and what can't be. But it
yeah,
seems to me for
yeah.
this situation, because I mean, this is a huge deal. That's
It's people's
400
seasons.
point. Yeah,
It's
there's
people's
whole
seasons.
seasons, whole
Yeah, it's their whole
seasons.
seasons. I mean, yeah,
Huge deal.
it ruined Roush from race one last year. They got it at the earliest point in the season.
Pretty
You
much.
know,
Yeah.
even if you get it 6 races in, it's better to get it first or second race than it is any time after the 5th or 6th, because you're pretty much dead after that, in my opinion. It's going to be unless you win and you
Well,
just
yeah, with the Kaulig penalty, Justin Haley has had negative points ever since his penalty up until this last
yeah.
weekend. He got out of the negatives finally, and he
Is
was at
that is
like
that right?
7. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was, yeah, I mean, their season, I mean, they literally basically just started. They might as well have not started any races before this past
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah, it's
So,
rough, and yeah, it's wild. And I don't know what made me think of this, but that what I heard is NASCAR is going to give Josh Williams a waiver to qualify for the playoffs after they suspended him. Did you know that?
yeah,
That's fucked. What's the point of the suspension?
I don't know. That's
Makes
I don't
no
know.
damn sense to me.
Interesting take. I didn't have that strong of an opinion towards it.
I feel like if you get suspended, it's like a drop race. You ever been a part of a series that did drops? So Jackson Speedway, where I grew up racing, you'd have 3 drops a year because they would have like 22 races. So you'd have 2 or 3 drops a year. They'd be your 3 worst finishes. So it's like he just get his. If it's good to drop zeros, you don't want to drop top 2, top 3 finishes because you're dropping 98 points. Whereas if you just don't show up for a week and score 0 points, you're dropping 0 points. You're actually seated higher at the end of the season. If that makes sense. That's basically what he's getting right here. He's getting a drop race. I doubt he probably got paid, but I didn't know they were going to give waivers after they suspend him. It kind of doesn't make any fucking sense to me, in my opinion, but interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. So I feel like we pretty I feel like we covered that pretty well. So one more piece of news that I just sent you not too long ago, Jennifer Fryer reported that the
Oh,
regularly
boy.
scheduled meeting with the team owners in
Oh,
NASCAR,
yeah. Good touch
that
on that. Yep.
all of the team owners boycotted the
Boycott
meeting.
it. Yeah.
That's
That
kind of crazy.
makes me worry a little bit for NASCAR's sake because, dude, I feel like NASCAR has so much money. They got to give a bigger piece of the pie to the people that are supplying, bringing these sponsors to the table. Because don't get me wrong, NASCAR brings sponsors to the table, but these teams are bringing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to the table to play in NASCAR sandbox. They got to work with them here, and everybody has risks involved, the teams, NASCAR, this and that. But NASCAR, I mean, from what I understood, the pieces of the pie where they were so abundantly, outrageously sliced in NASCAR's favor, like unbelievably. So NASCAR, they got to work with the teams here. I don't know what they're if they don't do that. I don't know what's going to happen. It's not going to be good, but I think NASCAR has to get off their high horse and they got it. I mean, what they have so much money. They make on top of the $500 million they just made out in California, dude. They've got so much fucking money. It's unbelievable. So I don't know what's gonna happen. That's definitely interesting. I'm glad you touched on that. It's super interesting that all the owners are literally in the same boat. I think that all those owners against NASCAR is not good. Even if there's 2 owners that would sit out, and so they don't want to be a part of it. The fact that's all of them is pretty wild, my
Yeah,
opinion.
well, NASCAR doesn't have a choice. I mean, they're putting NASCAR, they're backing them into a corner. I mean, without their owners, what do they have? They have nothing. They
They have the
literally,
tracks. They have the tracks.
yeah, but I mean, what
They
are they
own the
gonna do?
tracks.
I mean,
There's
they
no
don't have
one
a
to,
racing
who are
series.
they gonna come? Well, you move the Xfinity guys. I think they make the
It
damn
opens a whole Pandora's
Xfinity.
box.
Oh God, I hope it doesn't get to that, but yeah, it's interesting. So,
Yeah,
yep.
super neat.
All right,
Then
well, I
game
guess we
two.
can go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
how much time do we got left on here?
Mine says 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Okay, you want to?
Do a quick closeout with Bristol preview and picks, or you can do picks.
Yeah, so going over just a little recap of our picks from Richmond. You picked Truex. He ended up 11th after that whole deal with his crew chief, and then I picked Harvick. He ended up with the top 5. Not too bad of picks. I feel like we're in the top 10 every week with our picks so far, other
We are
than
smart as
Super
shit. We are
Speedways.
smart. Smart.
We'll go with that, or lucky, one of the two. Well, I don't know, somewhere in between. So a little bit of a preview for Bristol Dirt. Last year, obviously, Kyle Busch ended up coming out with a win after Chase Briscoe in the last lap.
That was wild.
Slider on Tyler Reddick, and it didn't work out. So I don't know who you picking this weekend.
Give me. I feel like I want to go with Reddick.
I'd say it's a good pick. I think it's a real good pick.
What about you?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to pick a winner this weekend. I think there's a lot of guys I want to pick per usual, but I think old Kyle Busch is gonna go back to back. Honestly, I don't even really believe that, but I don't know. I just kind of hope it happens because he backed into it last year. So
Yep. Last win with Gibbs.
yep.
Last year, anyways, that made no sense, kind of. But yeah, hey, cool. Well, hey, what a show today. Me and Matt had a lot of fun talking and racing with all 4 people that watch. Hopefully, as we get into the year, Matt and I can start also turning this podcast into a little bit of reflection for our own race weekends. I know Matt's hard at work trying to secure sponsorship to continue racing full time this year. I will be racing full time as discussed in a podcast 2 back. Dirt stuff that starts here at the end of the month for me. I know Matt, I think you guys have your first race on the same day that I have my first race, right? Isn't that correct?
Is it May 6th?
May 6th.
All right, look at us go.
Oh boy, yep. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where the podcast goes after that. I do want to kind of turn it into somewhat of a reflect, talking about our own experiences outside of the car and stuff. And I think something we should even add, is when we can get our own content stuff going and kind of share that with you guys. I think that's something that's going to be big for me this year. Matt's been working on his stuff for the last couple of years, pretty good. So he's going to have to teach me some stuff. But I'm excited to be sharing that part of my life with you guys. I know Matt is, look at him. He is ecstatic as well. We're going to be ripping it and tearing through the that excitement is the excitement of Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott right there on that count, guys. Doesn't get any more exciting.
I'm just trying to be like my idols. Just happy to be here.
Yep. Big win today, Matt. Yep. All right.
Appreciate all the work.
Like yep. All right. Good team effort. All right. Well, that is it for this week's Passing Under the Yellow. Hope y'all enjoyed. We'll be back after Bristol Dirt next week, Sunday night, Easter, hippity hop hop. Hippity hop hop bunny? I don't know. All right, we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.